In my small hometown of Fulton, New York, Stevenson Beach was one of the few places we had to have fun within our community. My parents enjoyed spending time there, and even went on dates at the beach frequently. In 1988, Stevenson Beach was closed down due to bacteria counts of toxic blue-green algae spiking about 70 times higher than allowed by the New York Health Department. It hasn't reopened since, leaving 2 generations of Fultonians unable to enjoy what was once a highlight of town. The blue-green algae in Lake Neattawada, meaning Little Lake near the Big Lake in Iroquois language, was caused by nitrogen and phosphorus runoff from fertilizers used by surrounding farmland. The lake's maximum depth is only 12 feet, most of the lake being only 6 feet deep, and the water is warm. These are the perfect growing conditions for blue-green algae, otherwise known as Cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria thrives in warm, shallow water and feeds on nitrogen and phosphorus. The algae is toxic and can cause poisoning to pets through neurologic or liver damage, as well as cold and flu-like symptoms in humans. The algal film that concentrates along the shorelines can get stuck in pets' fur, leading to later ingestion, or cause people passing by to come into contact with it and become ill without even touching the water. The algae-filled lake is right behind both the junior high and the high school, multiple nature trails, and 2 parks. In order to make these areas safer, and to possibly reopen Stevenson Beach, the city of Fulton created the Lake Neattawada Revitalization Project. In an effort to get rid of the stubborn blue-green algae, the city began dredging. Dredging reduces internal loading of nitrogen and phosphorus, suppressing algal production. This is only an effective method if internal sources are the main source of nutrition, and in the case of Lake Neattawada, it is not. The dredging removed algal buildup, but had no chance in completely exacerbating the issue. Recently, Lake Neattawada has been chosen as a testing site for experimental treatment on cyanobacteria. SUNY ESF and Clarkson University have worked on a mitigation technology known as hydrodynamic cavitation. This cavitation quickly creates and collapses small bubbles in the water, damaging the small gas vacuoles in the cyanobacteria and limiting their ability to move throughout the water. This eliminates their competitive advantage over other types of algae. The issue with this technology is that algal blooms double every day, meaning you have to eliminate the blooms faster than they're doubling for it to be effective. This can only work with small algal blooms.
I mean, honestly, we used Neattawada not so much because we thought we could really see a measurable change across the whole lake, but just because we needed a test site where we knew there would be harmful algae when we were there. If we were to use this in other cases, the focus would be on places where it really was truly a small bloom. So just like a bloom in the early stages, or really what the next focus is in lakes that don't have as extensive blooms as Neattawada, but just have shoreline blooms.
In the end, this technology is not meant to help Lake Neattawada, but to be used to mitigate small algal blooms in other lakes before it is too late. It is clear that solutions like dredging and hydrodynamic cavitation are useless unless the nitrogen and phosphorus runoff from surrounding farmland is completely eliminated. The runoff, coupled with stable thermal conditions, continually feed into algal blooms, an issue that will only worsen with the progression of the climate crisis. In order for this issue to stop in Lake Neattawada, farms must stop using fertilizer that has high concentrations of nitrogen and phosphorus. Perhaps we must look back to the lake's roots with the Haudenosaunee. Native agricultural practices are much less harmful to our environment, using natural fertilizers that would not load the lake with nitrogen and phosphorus. Through looking back to the lake's roots, we may be able to solve the algae problem, allowing Fultonians to enjoy Stevenson Beach again. I, for one, would love to enjoy the lake in the same way my parents did when they went on dates, without the worry of toxic algae blooms.